as I said before, I'm no scientist, but you have a look at, like, we're running a lot of sheep, so their manure and everything's going back into the soil, trampling a lot of grass and cereal and everything back into the soil. And I think our root system is probably double, 3 times what a traditional farming root system would be. So yeah, we're taking a lot of product off, but I still think we're putting a lot of product back in underneath the soil that people don't see. And I think the biology is just, I think it works for you. So I think that might be a little bit of a, like, in a biological system, I don't think that's as important as a traditional system. It's actually working for you, and it's taking everything that it can in for you from the atmosphere, from what the sheep are putting on, grazing, trampling.
The Biological Farming Roundtable podcast helps farmers explore innovative, low-input, regenerative and profitable farming systems. The Biological Farming Roundtable is sponsored by NutriSoil, an award-winning biological liquid fertiliser made from a big worm farm. NutriSoil's purpose is to empower farmers to produce life-enriching food. My name is Nicola Maddock. I work at NutriSoil. I envisage a future where farmers are rewarded for producing nutrient-rich foods and consumers have this easily available to them.
Jeff, his wife Jenny and son Jarrod Andrews operate a 1,000-hectare sheep property in Blighty, New South Wales. Using NutriSoil, a worm-based fertiliser, for 15 years and recently Eptol, they turn off 6,500 lambs per year. The Andrews are breaking the boundaries with nitrogen inputs in their corn crops, using under 11 units of nitrogen and growing crops that are comparable in yield to 100 plus units of N. The combination of low amounts of nutrients in a stable form mixed with a living worm solution allows the corn to engage with the soil and microbial life, turn insoluble nutrients soluble, and enhance the plant's natural defence mechanisms, all while building humus for future soil health. Adding nitrogen with a carbon source and worm solution also stabilises nitrogen in ammonium form longer, reducing the harmful and costly effects that high nitrogen input systems can have, including acidification of soil, volatilisation of ammonia, nitrate leaching into the waterways, and losses of nitrous oxide to the atmosphere, a harmful greenhouse gas. The Andrews have developed a profitable, low-input, closed system that is good for their soil, animals, human and planet health. We recently had Jeff and Jarrod facilitate at the April Biological Farming Roundtable. Thanks for talking with me today, Jeff and Jarrod.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, Jeff, I'll start with directing my questions to you. Can you tell us a bit about your farming system?
Well, our farming system is a no chemical fertiliser system. We've been going down that path for probably 15 years now, Nicola. So, and having very good results. Not that we weren't big fertiliser users in the first place, but we've been using NutriSoil for probably the whole 15 of those years, and we've just come up with another fertiliser that we are using now just to help grow our corn and stuff like that. But other than that, it's just been a no chemical fertiliser farm for at least that number of years.
And what's your actual farm setup? So you're predominantly sheep?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, all sheep for since probably almost 15 years too, I suppose, Jarrod. Now have we? Yeah. So we just fat lambs and wool. So yes, we run around 4,000 ewes, and we probably turn off around 6,000 lambs a year with a few bought in lambs as well.
You feed all of your crops back through your sheep? The
whole lot goes back, Nicola, yes. We'll grow clover for silage, and we grow a lot of cereal for silage and hay, and everything goes back to our sheep. And we also grow oats as grain, and it goes back to sheep as well.
You grow summer active lucerne and clover together. Can you tell us how this combination works?
Well, when it rains, Nicola, it works very well over the summertime, and in the winter, it just thickens all the lucerne up. It gives us a lot of bulk in there, and a lot of feed when the lucerne's not growing as well. But we rely on that over the summertime, the lamb ewes and that down. But this year, it hasn't worked quite as to plan like we usually do.
Yeah, it's been a very dry summer.
Yes, it has.
So you said you've been using the biological fertilisers for 15 years. So NutriSoil, a worm-based fertiliser, as one of them. What's the other fertilisers that you're using, or biological inputs? Or?
We use it's a foliar spray. It's an ectile product. It's a nitrate, which is available nitrogen, and also it was a phosphorus one as well.
Is that across your pastures or just the crops that you're growing?
No, we spray it on everything, Nicola, yes. We don't use a heck of a lot of it. We haven't found that we needed to. So, but as I said, our NutriSoil is probably the base of our fertiliser program.
Yeah. How did you come across NutriSoil?
I think we read about it in the Weekly Times. Didn't you, Jarrod?
In the land.
Or in the land or something, around when you had one of your first days in the Yakandanda farm. And, we went over to that, and you had a couple of very good speakers there at that time, and I happened to ask one of the speakers, I said, does this stuff work? And he just said, it works. So we thought, well, we'll give it a whirl. And I didn't have my head in the sand, though. Like, if it wasn't going to work, we were probably going to go back to our old fertiliser program. But, we haven't had to.
It would have been quite a new thing for you, using a worm-based fertiliser, going from, using, whilst low input, you were traditional fertilisers.
Oh, yes, it was. It was, we've always done things a little wee bit differently we were prepared to give it a trial, and it's worked very well.
Did you ever use superphosphate or any synthetic fertilisers prior? What were you using?
We were using probably a very light rate of phosphate, probably super and lime that I was using. And what was the other stuff, Jarrod, that I can't quite remember the colour, but it's a natural based stuff as well. But I've never used urea or a DAP or very little of that type of fertiliser.
What's the reason for that? Was it a gut feeling? Was it from your dad? Why didn't you go that way?
I don't know. When we first come to this area, the Department of Agriculture doing lots of trials with huge amounts of superphosphate, and we went along that line for about 12 months, and we were growing started to grow just a lot of weeds and dock and stuff like that in our summer pastures. That was, as I said, nearly 40 years ago. And there was an old chap by the name of John Stanley coming to the area doing things differently, aerating and reverted phosphate, which is super and lime, and liming of the paddocks and stuff like that. So we were very impressed. My brother and myself was very impressed with that system. So, we went down that system and sort of been doing that, since probably about late 70s, I suppose, down in that type of aeration and super and super and lime.
Do you use aeration now?
No, very, very little. We do rip our corn down to about 8 inches, our corn ground, but other than that, no, we found we haven't had to using this, using the NutriSoil system.
Yeah. What about lime?
No, we haven't used lime for a long time either. I just think if you get your ground biological, your biology and your ground working properly, I don't really think you should need lime. And like if you're going to put acid fertiliser on the soil, yes, you're going to need lime to bring it back. But as far as we're concerned, everything's just working well the way it is. So why spend heaps more money on liming and gypsum and stuff like that when we reckon there's no need to.
You sold your water on one of the farms and chose to go dry land. Was that a tough decision, and how did you find the transition?
Well, the transition, it was a tough decision to sell the water, but when we did it, it wasn't much of a transition because we didn't have we weren't getting any water anyway.
Yep.
I think our first year we got 8%, and then we got a 5%, and then we got 2 nothings. So that was when we decided, well, we'll sell the water and we'll take the money that they're giving us. We bought another 2 farms, I think, and we decided to go down that dryland path, and we still use a little bit of water when we think it's necessary. We can buy water in it off the exchange, and we think that's a much better system that way than getting 25, 50% of your water and paying for the whole lot of it.
That was a tough time.
But it was a hard decision to make, being an irrigator all our lives, and but yeah, it's worked out really well for us. Except probably this year when it's so damn dry.
Oh, it has been an exceptionally dry year. Everyone's in the same position here in
yeah, I think so. Yes.
Victoria. Jarrod, I'll ask you some questions now. When you came onto the farm, your dad obviously had a low input system in place. Did you ever question farming with more inputs to try to increase the yield and production?
No, not really. I sort of come back in the middle of the drought, and it wasn't raining, and so there was no sort of need to put extra sort of fertilisers on, just costing us money. So, and once we got onto the biological system, I could see that we're going the right way. So I thought if we can keep doing that, I didn't see any reason to go the other way. And I'm a little bit of I wouldn't say greenie at heart, but I like keeping trees and trying to keep everything kind of in balance, kind of thing. So, and we moved to we moved to sheep. So, and they started eating. You could see that they were preferring the pastures and the cereals and everything that we sprayed with the biological fertiliser. They'd eat that off before the base system. So, yeah, we thought that's certainly the way to go.
So has the farm changed much since you started farming with your mum and dad?
It has. Certainly, we bought another 3 farms kind of thing. We've gone from 1,100 acres to 20 or nearly 2,700 acres kind of thing, bit over 1,000 hectares. And Dad's, we went from an irrigation system growing a lot of open hay and lucerne and everything like that, irrigated, to a completely dry land system. And we've I know Dad had about 500 first cross ewes, and now we've got, up to 4,000 Dooney ewes, lambing all year round. And so we've sort of gone from, a more, fully irrigation. Now we've sort of got rid of all that and then gone to a complete livestock system and farming. So some days I'll hate the sheep, but other days when we sell them at a good price, we think the sheep are you need livestock in your system, I think. So no, it has changed. It has changed a lot. Gotten a lot busier, I tell you.
Right. So whose decision was it to start growing the corn?
Well, we feed a lot of lambs, a lot of lambs, and use across the summer period. So we just thought there was a feed shortage. So we thought corn would be, you can grow a lot of bulk off corn. So we thought that would be a good fit into our system, get a huge amount of bulk, and you get a lot of value. We're only buying a little bit of water, but you get value for your water per megalitre with corn. Well, Dad used to grow corn when he had the dairy farm back in the late 70s, early 80s. So Dad did sort of have experience with corn, and we thought, well, we'll give it a go. And yeah, we haven't really looked back. Like the corn, it does sort of, it's dry this year, but we've still got a big bulk of corn. So we still have got feed at hand, and it will rain eventually. So it is a bit of a lifesaver, actually.
Yeah. Tell us about how you grow it.
We put the seed in the ground and it grows. No, a little bit more complicated than that. Well, we're a little bit different. Traditional way is to put a ton of urea and a ton of starter fertiliser on it, kind of thing. As much inputs as you can, but it's a big user of inputs. But we're sort of doing it the biological way. So we have upped our inputs of NutriSoil plus the Ectol and Nitratane. So we sort of put about 40 or 50 litres of the biological liquid fertiliser on to cover that. We thought we were sort of a little bit sceptical too. We didn't think it would work. Well, we thought it would, but we're growing 20 tonne plus kind of dry matter crops, and that's sort of, well, that's average or a little bit better, doing it at probably, I don't know, a quarter of the cost, or maybe not even that. So yeah, so that's how we're doing it.
The Ectol and Nitratane products add 22 and 14% nitrogen. If you're using 10 litres of each in the mix at sowing and a further 2 litres at each watering, which is about 10 waterings, you're only using about 11 units of N, which is getting comparable yields to 100 plus units of N. That's breaking real boundaries when it comes to traditional fertiliser calculations of what a corn crop would require.
Yeah, I'm no scientist, but we must have the ground working for us.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I really don't know. It must be that the corn and the ground must work together just with the biology in the soil, and it's working for us. So, and well, another thing, we do crop rotations. So we do grow a lot of clover before the corn. Yeah. So that would be putting a lot of stored nitrogen into the soil, but then the biology must be making full use of everything that we're giving it to grow sort of above average crops. So, and fresh paddocks always help, but we have double cropped on a couple of occasions, and the yield's down a little bit, but not as much as the so-called experts would sort of tell you. Yeah, they say if you double crop, you just got to keep increasing your inputs all the time. And yeah, we are sort of doing things a little bit different, and I don't think it's going to fall over backwards like a lot of people say. You're just going to mine it out, but yeah, I think that the soil, we've got it working for us, and even after the corn, you can dig the soil up, and there's worm activity there and everything like that, and you've been watering it every sort of 7 days, so there probably shouldn't be that much activity because you're sort of drowning the activity all the time, but the worms must go down and then come back up. And yeah, so we're going to keep doing it this way, and until someone can come up and say that it's not going to work. I think it'll just keep working for us.
Yeah. There was a humic phos in that mix. Was there a phosphorus in the mix this year for the corn?
Yes. Yeah. We put a starter on, which is a NPK mix. It has got the analysis, but it's only the same as that as a nitrogen, very, very low
Small amount.
levels of each.
Yes.
But it's all plant available.
Yeah. And
I think that's why it works in well with the NutriSoil, because the NutriSoil's got the biology in it, and it just breaks it down, and it does its thing in the soil, I think.
Yeah. Have you had any pests or diseases in your corn that you've had to treat?
No, not really. We do put a laws ban down, a chemical down at planting, just in case. But that's been ever the only insecticide or anything that we've used on it. But we have never, we haven't had any pests on it at all. Actually, touch wood. So, which is very good.
The structure of your soil, like when you go out into the pastures, you often bring a soil sample to the soil health days. It's just got this beautiful porosity. The aggregation around the root systems are very obviously showing strong biological functions happening. Has it always been like this, or do you see improvement?
Yeah. As Dad just said, we probably never noticed it, because we never sort of used to look at our soil as much as what we do now. But I think it is improving every year. But we've been pretty lucky. We have got very good soil here, or that's what we think. But it is getting better and better all the time. And we just love digging it up and having a look at roots and showing people how good it is, because they can't get over it. As you said, at your open days and that, people look at it and smell it and they go, like, where did it come from, kind of thing. Yeah, we're very proud of it, actually. And it's unbelievable. You sort of, like, we're on 2,500 acres kind of thing, and we're running 4,000 sheep or ewes. So at the moment, we've probably got 8,000 sheep on, and it's been fairly tough. So we've been rotating them around on what feed we did have, kind of thing, and to keep the soil like that and not have to aerate and everything like that. It's something. The biology in the soil is just doing it all for us, like it is. As soon as it rains, it's just takes it all up. It's beautiful.
Yeah. What about a grazing management plan? Do you have any sort of system there?
We do when we have got feed available through the winter. We sort of do try and rotate paddocks, our grazing cereals and everything, and we've got our dry land loosen and pastures for lamb and ewes and everything. And when it does come in dry, we have got the feedlot or the containment area for ewes, and we feed like sheep in there, feed them a ration. So, but no sort of holistic grazing or grazing management system as such, kind of thing. We just sort of haven't. Everything's we're in the middle of sowing now, so it's going to be a late start. So once it's up, we'll get them on there, but no sort of grazing system as such, kind of thing.
But your system really is to grow that, put it into silage, and then feed it back through when you don't have that growth. So it's still all coming off the farm through your sheep back onto your farm again, like quite a closed system.
Yeah, everything that's grown on the farm, we put into silage or hay or grain, and it is, we never sell any hay or silage. So that, as you said, that goes back through the sheep in the feedlot. So it is, essentially a closed system. So whatever we're putting on is going straight back into the sheep, so we know exactly what's going on. So if you're buying stuff in, you don't really know what you're getting or what they've sprayed or anything like that. And our feedlot rations are very high fibre sort of diets. We don't put a huge amount of grain in, like we rely on good quality clover and vetch and everything like that. So, but the sheep and lambs do very well on it, and it's working for us. Like I weighed some lambs just the other day, and I think they were putting on about 300 grams a day. So that's 2.7 kilos a week. So that's like that's pretty good on a high fibre diet. Yeah, so, and we don't get any grain poisoning or anything like that. So we're like trying to keep it a very safe system.
Yeah.
So
the big question that people often have for biological farmers is if you're taking nutrients off by crop harvest and sheep production, you must at some point need to be returning these nutrients in fertiliser equivalent forms. So from your experience, how would you answer this question?
as I said before, I'm no scientist, but you have a look at, like, we're running a lot of sheep, so their manure and everything's going back into the soil, trampling a lot of grass and cereal and everything back into the soil. And I think our root system is probably double, 3 times what a traditional farming root system would be. So, yeah, we're taking a lot of product off, but I still think we're putting a lot of product back in underneath the soil that people don't see. And I think the biology is just, I think it works for you. So I think that might be a little bit of a, like, in a biological system, I don't think that's as important as a traditional system. It's actually working for you, and it's taking everything that it can in for you from the atmosphere, from what the sheep are putting on, grazing, trampling. Yeah, so Dad and I, at the moment, we're sort of trialling, going to trial some cover crops, maybe to maybe put a little bit more stuff on, keeping cover on the soil, especially during the summertime. That is a bit of a lacking thing with us. But as I say that, there's been no, sort of reverse effects. Like, we haven't seen any effects on our yields or anything like that from just harvesting all the time. So until that happened, I don't think we need to worry about it. I think, yeah, the biology and the ecosystem will take care of itself, I think.
Yeah, yep. And as you said, you're capturing those nutrients from the atmosphere, and if you then move into cover crops, you'll just be capturing more.
Yeah, that's right. And we're not big summer sprayers either. So some weeds do grow, and all the traditionalists say, oh, no, that's taking moisture. But where we've had cover on our soil, it's softer. Like, you can see over summer where there has been some cover on the dirt, we've only had 2 lots of 7 mil of rain so far. But where there has been a little bit of summer weed or some grass that's been laying over, like, that's where the moisture is. So, and we're a grazing system, so we can't keep full cover on the soil. But even if some weeds grow, or we can put a little bit of a cover crop on and get some growth, I think it will benefit with just more moisture retention. Yeah. So weeds, I think maybe that they might play a bigger role than probably what we think. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's that school of thought that in a healthy system, those weeds are actually scavenging the nutrients that are needed to be brought back up to the top of the soil, and then when they decompose, it's putting those nutrients back on.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it is. Like, if they're getting their roots down and they're bringing it back up, that would make sense.
Yep, and that's
maybe we're onto something.
Absolutely. Oh, you are so onto something, both of you. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And you say you're not scientists, but I think just care for the environment and your gut instinct has just taken you beyond what science can do at the moment. So I think you're doing fabulous. So
thank you.
Thanks for talking with me today, Jeff and Jarrod. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope that our listeners, again, can take something back and implement onto their farm.
Well, thank you, Nicola.
Yeah, thanks, Nicola.
All right, bye.
Always.
Please follow the Biological Farming Roundtable podcast. Share it with your friends and networks. I'm Nicola Maddock, and I work at NutriSoil, a liquid biological fertiliser made from a big worm farm whose purpose is to empower farmers to produce life-enriching food.